What makes a crime perfect? Is it the planning, the precision, or the fact that, decades later, no one has ever been caught? In the heart of Melbourne, beneath the noise of racing tracks and bustling bookmakers, a group of men pulled off a robbery so clean, so methodical, that it still baffles investigators nearly 50 years later. No alarms, no violence, no trace, just millions in cash, gone like smoke in the wind. This wasn't the work of impulsive criminals or desperate men. It was strategy, patience, discipline. A heist so sophisticated that even law enforcement had to admit they had never seen anything like it. But what began as a silent, bloodless robbery would eventually become a spark that set Melbourne's underworld ablaze for decades. This is Crime's Cipher, faceless, respectful, relentless. We decode the stories buried in the shadows of true crime without glamorizing the chaos. And tonight, we decode one of the most infamous unsolved heists in history, the Great Bookie Robbery, Australia's so-called perfect heist. A heist like no other. It was April 21st, 1976, an ordinary autumn afternoon in Melbourne. The kind of day when the city hummed with business as usual. But inside the Victoria Club on Queen Street, something extraordinary was about to unfold. 6 masked men walked in quietly, calm and composed. In less than an hour, they would walk out carrying what was estimated to be up to $15 million in untraceable cash, the equivalent of more than $100 million today. By the time police arrived, the robbers were long gone, leaving behind stunned witnesses and an empty vault. It was as if ghosts had robbed the place. The operation was swift, calculated, and perfect. So perfect, in fact, that even today, it stands as one of the most mysterious unsolved crimes in Australian history. The Victoria Club, Fortress of Cash. To understand why this heist was even possible, you need to understand what the Victoria Club really was. In the 1970s, Melbourne's horse racing industry wasn't just a sport, it was an empire built on money. Every bet placed at the racetrack, every bookmaker transaction, every winning payout generated rivers of cash. And at the end of the day, all of it flowed through the Victoria Club. On busy race days, guards wheeled in massive bags stuffed with cash. Upstairs, bookmakers counted the notes by hand, piling them into safes and strong boxes. The Victoria Club wasn't just a gambling venue. It was a mountain of unguarded wealth disguised as a social hub. Unlike a bank, it lacked sophisticated alarms, steel-reinforced vaults, or modern security systems. It relied on locked doors, hired guards, and blind confidence. Everyone knew the cash was there, but few believed anyone would dare take it. Until 6 men proved otherwise. The crew, 6 shadows. Who were these men? To this day, no one truly knows. The crew behind the Great Bookie Robbery remains one of the greatest mysteries in Australian crime history. Some believe they were ex-military operatives with tactical experience. Others claim they were insiders, security staff or former employees who knew the building's weaknesses. For weeks, maybe months, they studied every inch of the Victoria Club. They watched guard rotations, memorized patterns, timed deliveries, and even rehearsed their entry and exit routes. No shouting, no chaos, just controlled authority. They tied staff members carefully, made sure no one was injured, and moved directly to the vault. Inside were stacks upon stacks of bookmaker cash, fresh, unmarked, and irresistible. In one flawless sweep, they loaded duffel bags and vanished without a trace. In under an hour, they had carried out one of the largest robberies in Australian history without a single shot fired. The aftermath, silence and shockwaves. The city was stunned. The newspapers called it Australia's perfect heist. The police were humiliated. How could a team of men walk into a high-security cash club, rob millions, and simply disappear? Authorities scrambled to find leads. They raided homes, racing stables, warehouses, any place that could hide millions in cash. But their searches turned up nothing. Not a single note from the robbery was ever found. Meanwhile, the underworld buzzed. Everyone had a theory, and everyone had a suspect. Some faces suddenly began living larger, buying cars, betting big, or flashing money that didn't quite add up. But the whispers stayed whispers. Without proof, police couldn't act. The case went cold. But in the shadows, something else began to brew. Distrust, greed, and violence. The silence after the robbery would soon explode into bloodshed. Domino's full, blood for money. The Great Bookie Robbery might have been executed with surgical precision, but its aftermath was anything but clean. As time passed, paranoia infected the crew. Some members allegedly felt cheated, others feared betrayal. And one by one, they began to turn up dead. Bodies were found in alleys, cars, and abandoned lots, shot at close range, execution style. The men who once pulled off a flawless robbery were now being hunted, likely by their own associates. The money was gone, but its curse remained. The fallout of the heist created waves of tension and mistrust that seeped into every corner of Melbourne's criminal underworld. In the years that followed, the city would descend into chaos. The 1980s and 1990s saw Melbourne gripped by brutal gangland wars, assassinations, bombings, and revenge killings that claimed dozens of lives. While these wars had many causes, drugs, territory, greed, many traced their roots back to one event, the Victoria Club robbery. The heist didn't just steal millions. It stole peace. Myth versus reality. Because it's a story that balances on the line between myth and reality. A crew of ghosts walks into a fortress, steals millions in daylight, and vanishes forever. It sounds like a movie script, and in fact, it inspired several. Bars and pubs across Australia still echo with theories about what really happened. Was the money buried in the outback? Smuggled overseas? Was it ever even split? But the truth is much darker. While the robbery inside the club was bloodless, what followed was chaos. Families were destroyed. Lives were taken. The so-called perfect crime wasn't perfect. It was poisonous. The legacy, lessons in shadows. Nearly 50 years later, the Great Bookie Robbery remains unsolved. No convictions, no confessions, no recovery of the cash. But its legacy still lingers like smoke. The robbery changed everything. How criminals operated, how police investigated, and how Australia understood organized crime. The Victoria Club job forced the creation of new police task forces, tougher surveillance systems, and tighter regulations around cash flow in gambling industries. It was a wake-up call, a reminder that greed always leaves shadows, no matter how well you hide them. The men who pulled it off disappeared, but the ripple effects of their actions shaped Australia's underworld for decades. The Great Bookie Robbery wasn't just a theft. It was a warning, a reminder that even the most perfect plan leaves cracks, and that fortune always carries a cost. You've been watching Crime Cipher, faceless, respectful, relentless. If this decode pulled you into the shadows, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell, and drop perfect heist in the comments to join the cipher. Which mystery should we decode next? The Shadows Syndicate of Alen, Moradian, or Taskforce Morpheus? Inside the Crackdown.